What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, we have to talk about the Gran Turismo 7 news going on. I didn't want to ignore this because this is a big deal to a good amount of people, and I don't think you can really let Sony off the hook here, just actually in the same way you can't let off anything like this anytime it happens. You have to hold everybody responsible. Just kind of funny that we had this thing kind of taking off around the same time. Then we had Moon Studios, right, maker of the Ori games. That was a disaster kind of story as well, kind of on the Microsoft side, not really. You know what, though? Doesn't need to be even. We need to talk about Gran Turismo. So basically what happened here is people are very, very upset, and I think honestly for some very good reasons, and the game's getting review bombed on Metacritic. It's got a 2.0 now user score based off of almost 6,000 ratings. It's actually gone even more down. I think it was like a 2.4 or a 2.5. Basically what started this, well, the microtransactions always seem to be an issue, right? Kind of day one, after the reviews went up, mind you, right? They did the microtransactions, people started to go into, and people started to realize how expensive cars are to buy in this game, both in terms of how much grinding you'd have to do, what are the comparisons in price and literally money compared to what similar models or similar cars even were in past games like Gran Turismo Sport, stuff like that, right? So immediately the microtransactions were something that was a little worrying. Now number one, I don't really play Gran Turismo games, so I didn't care too much, right? And again, that doesn't let them off the hook for me, right? I just didn't really, bother with it. Also, as long as you can earn it, yes, mind you, there's the grind involved, right? But as long as you can earn it, it's not the worst thing in the world. It could be worse. Again, not saying it's great. And then things just slowly, was slow for a while, and then it just kind of collapsed all in like one day. Game went offline, right, for I believe an entire 24 hours, an entire full day. And this isn't exactly a game that works well when it's, let's just say the words offline, right? It needs to be online in order for it to work. So pretty much Gran Turismo 7 was down for an entire day. That made people extraordinarily mad. And then with the newest patch that they added, they ruined microtransactions even more. So you had just another issue with, and to be honest with you, I thought we were past the point of games being connected to the internet, where if the internet wasn't working, but I guess that still obviously does exist. I just thought for like examples like a Gran Turismo, we wouldn't exactly be here, right? So you had that, you had people very, very upset over that, and then obviously the microtransactions have made, come back in the worst of ways because of the newest patch. It's bad. It's bad. The thing that is so disappointing is that this is, from what I can at least tell, a very good game, in terms of the actual driving mechanics. There were problems, in terms of the reviews where when you're not driving, right, when you're kind of getting from race to race, you have to, like, whatever it is, get out and go to, like, the hub world and then come back, and you have to do that, like, every single time. Like, that was an annoyance that you saw, I think, in several reviews, but the general consensus was when you're playing the game, when you're racing, visually, I mean, does it get any better? In terms of, like, up close. Obviously, there were people that did the memes of like the people on the streets, right? So if you go further than up close, maybe it doesn't look so well. But the game is very, very pretty in terms of an up close angle. The game, again, from what I can tell, is a very good just sim, racer in terms of you driving it. It feels authentic, all that stuff. So I guess what just sucks is this is like one of those games that like the quality is so good. It's kind of the quality you'd expect, right? From a Gran Turismo game, from a Sony game, from, whatever argument you want to make. And then just behind the scenes, it's a complete disaster. And then even the director, he issued a statement talking about the microtransactions a few days ago, and it was one of the worst statements I've ever heard in my life, basically very, very much defending them, saying like, this is something we want in the game. So it wasn't even, oftentimes in things like this, even if you go back to Middle Earth Shadow of War, right? Remember there's Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War. The thing with Shadow of War is it very much was kind of implied that from a top-down perspective, they were forced to add those microtransactions, which everybody hated, but they were forced to add it kind of last minute from like their overlords on top, right? So at least for that, you can still be mad. You can still, get very upset, but you can at least kind of blame it on somebody else. You can blame it on like a higher power, these people in suits, that have no names, but they make all the decisions, right? You can at least point it on that. For this, it's like, no, it seems like they maybe pitched it to Sony and said, hey, we're going to do microtransactions. And Sony was like, well, we were actually going to ask you, but I guess you've already, made it that far. So it's disappointing. It's disappointing to see a game so like, I wouldn't even say one-sided. It's actually so mixed, right? Because again, from like a core gameplay and game perspective, the game is super, super good. It may deserve that 87 that it has on Metacritic, but then the user score, right? And scores, by the way, don't exactly matter. I don't think the game is a 2. Yet again, I think in order to make your point, I mean, you have to make your point somehow, right? I don't actually mind people doing this to a game that has these kind of problems. A lot of these Metacritic user scores, or any user score, by the way, you can't exactly take. I've actually gone over that before, even like Horizon Forbidden West, right? There was review bombings for that. People were leaving it zeros and literally not giving reasons and all that stuff. So really, to go based off of Metacritic in any way is not probably a smart move. But, I don't think it deserves a 2, by the way, right? But it's like, well, the game had an error, and then so it was literally unplayable. You couldn't play the game for an entire day. That's kind of an issue, and who's to say that doesn't happen again? And then these microtransactions that were already very sketchy have only gotten much, much worse. And people just, I would say I don't play the game, but I'll say it in terms of a collective community, we don't want this stuff in our video games. And so I will say it's a good thing to see people kind of coming together for this, right? I don't think people, well, overwhelmingly, I don't think people have a problem with the base Gran Turismo game, but all of this kind of stuff behind the scenes, these are things that just shouldn't be there. They need to be cut out like immediately, right? Because you have a very solid game, and then the thing that everybody talks about now, or will talk about, is that stuff. And Gran Turismo games, very highly respected. Remember, I've said this multiple times on the channel, they sell more than people think. I mean, these are actually one of the higher selling games and series of all time in terms of gaming. So we're not talking about, a game that's going to sell like 500,000 or 1 million units. No, this Gran Turismo 7 is going to sell a lot, just like every other Gran Turismo game. So it's not like this doesn't affect anybody. This affects a lot of people that are playing this game. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up, and I hope to see you all on tomorrow's video.